Hey all, it is Nikki. Welcome back to the channel for an update on Operation Fantasy Revamp. So, I am actually pretty psyched about the progress that I've been able to make on this fantasy project in the last few weeks. I just feel like with God's help, inspiration has just been flowing and I've been able to just get so much of this one section done. It was my goal in my winter goals of 2022, which I will put somewhere over here, to finish part 3, or was it just this section of part 3 in my fantasy story? And I've made it a lot farther than I expected to make it. As much as I wanted to meet that goal, part of me was like, I feel like you're not gonna get anywhere near it. But there's actually hope. Like, if I continue with this pace, I could make it. And while we're talking about goals, I feel the need to acknowledge, update, that I have finished not 3, but 5 pleasure novels in 2 months, when my goal was to finish 3 in 3 months. So we're cruising. And that's especially good news because it means that I can just sort of like put pleasure reading on the back burner for right now and focus on other things now that I've met my quota. Side note, I have been rereading Aaron Hunter's Warriors series, which was like my childhood, my life when I was in 3rd grade. It's been so fun to just get into that story and still be shocked by some of the plot twists that you don't remember, or have all those things that you forgot come back to you. Oh my goodness, I forgot about this. And just in general, if you haven't gone back to a childhood favorite and just reread it for purely nostalgic reasons, I would highly recommend it. And if you have, let me know what books they were. What are your childhood favorites? I don't have any more fiction books on the go right now, but I do have this book that I started reading a couple days ago. My friend got it for me for Christmas. I can already tell that it is going to be one of those books that does not pull its punches. It's called Crazy Love by Frances Chan, and it's really, really convicting just right from the beginning, which is uncomfortable. It can be hard to motivate yourself to pick up a book that you know will like challenge you to be a better person and a better Christian in some really radical ways. But at the same time, when I look at myself and ask myself, why am I reluctant to pick this up? That's normally a pretty good reason to read it and be open to what God can do through it. So with that in mind, I am really excited to just be convicted by what Frances Chan has to say, and even though I'm not super deep into it, I can already recommend this book as something that I think we need more of. Okay, back to Operation Fantasy Revamp, which I do have a working title for, but I want to sit on it a little bit longer before I share it. I'm currently sitting at chapter 47, and inspiration has been flowing, which is great, but also kind of bad, especially in my last week before winter break because I had all these assignments due and the temptation to write was just too strong. I gave into it a fair bit, which makes me a dedicated writer, but kind of a bad student, except that all the school stuff did get done. So it's like a dedicated writer and a decent, no one will know the difference student. Here's the thing though, things have been going swimmingly in that project overall, but there have been a few kinks. For one, I was rewriting a scene that had stayed pretty much the same for the past like few drafts. It's a trial scene, a long trial scene, and it is still a long trial scene, but instead of just sort of copying and pasting like I have done for past drafts, I really wanted to just redo it, rewrite it, start from scratch, and other than like maybe a few choice lines that I pulled from the last one, I pretty much did just rewrite it, which is scary because I always come up against the fear that this new draft won't be as good as the old one. So while I'm trying to write new, it's like, how did I say this in the last one? Was it better? Should I go back to that doc? No, this time, for the most part, I really did just start from scratch. There's something to be said for just radically breaking from the old, getting yourself out of that mindset so that you can look back on it objectively and see what the story actually needs instead of just seeing what has always been there. I am nervous about this scene, the new one, and here is why. In the past drafts, this trial has been an opportunity to drop just a ton of necessary world building and plot details, and while I've tried to include the ones that are necessary, I have a sinking feeling that I have missed some in this new draft, but that is not the only problem I am dealing with at present because I also recently reached a point where I was staring a big reveal in the face and realized that I didn't really know how to tackle it. This has happened to me so many times. When I go into a story, I usually have a few like big moments in mind in advance that I'm just so excited about, and those are the moments that I'm sort of working towards and that I'm working on the most in my head as I write the rest of the story. Incidentally, I found out fairly recently that Brandon Sanderson does the same thing, which I'm not gonna lie, kind of made me feel like $1,000,000. But the problem is, I can psych myself out because I'm so excited about that scene and I hang so much pressure on those moments that when I reach them, I just want it to be perfect, and it paralyzes me. I find it hard to move forward and hard to know how to actually practically go about writing it in a way that I will think is worthy of the scene. To paraphrase one of my characters from Operation Stars, until I start, there is still a 1000% chance that I will wreck it. Which maybe isn't the sunniest way of looking at it, but that's how it can feel sometimes when you're standing on the edge of those really significant moments in your story. With this scene, it feels like the stakes are even higher because it's not just like a significant moment, it's a big reveal. A character who has had amnesia since we met him is now getting his memories returned to him by another character. Problem is that other character doesn't know his former identity, she just has the memories attached to it, so it's all very convoluted and the reveal itself doesn't come across super clearly. So it's a dilemma. My plan has not played the way that I want it to, and because of that, I don't think I will be able to move forward until I have it closer to right. That's the kind of writer I am. I can't help it. So how do you handle situations like this? I usually have the same method that I defer to every time. I make two lists. So one, what do I like in this scene? What do I think works? And two, what do I hate in this scene? I try to be as specific as possible, even including like insignificant things or things that seem insignificant. I think this comes back to that fear of writing a draft that's not as good as the one before. If you don't know what you liked about the one before, then there's a good chance those positives won't make it into your next draft, and then there's a good chance that you're not going to like that next draft. So what do I like? I like the overall premise, the idea that he doesn't have his memories and he's getting them back through someone else who has like memory powers. I also like its placement in the story. It touches on key parts of his past, which I really did want to get across, and I don't hate like the wording. Like there are some lines in there that I really actually like and I'm happy with. What do I hate or not like? For one, some parts of this moment that I just wrote are like very similar to the way they were written in past drafts, so maybe because of that I'm just sort of like bored with those lines, like they're feeling sort of tired. For another, the whole scene is basically character B living the memories of character A. Because she doesn't fully understand what she's seeing, the reader getting the memories through her won't be able to fully understand what she's seeing. And hopefully you'll be able to somewhat understand what I just said. I think it kind of goes on too long. The big reveal doesn't happen in one like boom moment. It's sort of like trickles in. You could almost miss it if you weren't paying attention. The biggest problem is that it's just not clear enough for a reveal. In a point where I'm trying to make things clearer and illuminate something, things are just getting like more hazy and convoluted. This is my favorite part of making lists like this, when you can step back from all the nitpicky things and see what the heart of the problem is, which for me is clarity. So now that I have that, I can go back over it and try to fix it. I think I will cut some things out. I will delay sort of the boom moment of the big reveal until the end instead of like drizzling it over the scene, because I think it will just be more impactful if there's like one specific, precise moment where the revelation occurs. There are lots of ways that I could tackle this problem, and I have worked on it a little bit. I'm getting progressively happier with it, and just in general, I knew this about myself. I would not be able to move forward until I had something solid for this moment. So this is just such a critical moment for his character. I mean, this character has gone through so much spiritual pain, and this exact scene in the book is a moment that sets him on a somewhat new trajectory, where soon my symbolic sort of god figure character will be able to get a hold of him. And I'm just so pumped to see what just free grace does for his redemption story. And now you have a taste of my process for working through these critical scenes that don't play the way I want / need them to. It's not a perfect method, but in general it works pretty well for me. But I am open to your ideas, so what do you guys do when you come into this situation? Let me know. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it and that it was helpful. Feel free to like and subscribe and share any thoughts you might have, and as always, do not forget to spend some time in the clouds today.